The planet Varnock 9 was filled with death. Storms howled day and night. The sky was always dark, covered in thick red clouds. The air smelled like burnt metal. The ground shook every few hours as if something big moved deep below the surface. No one lived here, no one was supposed to, but a human scout named Reed had landed anyway. His ship had picked up a weak signal, a crash distress code, and the system had flagged it as old. Abandoned. He was supposed to scan it, log the wreck, and move on. A simple job. But as Reed walked across the dead soil with his helmet's visor blinking red warnings, he heard something he didn't expect. A scream. Not a monster's growl. Not a machine's alarm. A scream. From a voice human-like. Hi, female. He froze. Looked around, the sound came again, faint, like it was deep underground. Help. Please. Somebody. Reed's heart pounded. He gripped his pulse pistol and moved toward the broken hill nearby. Behind a wall of half-buried wreckage. He saw it. A cage. Metal bars bent and rusted. And inside a girl. Not human, but close. She was thin. Her silver-blue skin was bruised. Her long white hair stuck to her face. One leg was bent wrong. Her clothes were torn and burned. She looked up at him with glowing purple eyes and fear. When she saw him, she tried to sit up. Failed. You're human, she whispered. He nodded slowly, still unsure what he was seeing. She coughed. Please, don't leave me. Reed knelt down beside the cage. What are you doing here? They left me, she said. Told me I wasn't strong enough, then pushed me out with the beasts. He looked around. The tracks in the dirt. They weren't human. And they weren't hers. Big, heavy clawed. You were left as bait, he said. She nodded weakly. For the monsters, they hunt better when they smell fear. Reed pulled at the cage door. It wouldn't open. He searched for a release switch, but the panel was fried. Hold on, he said, pulling a tool from his belt. She looked at him again, this time with disbelief. You're actually helping me? You want me to walk away? I expected. She said quietly. Everyone else did. Reed pressed his tool against the lock. Sparks flew. Metal cracked. Suddenly a deep growl echoed across the valley. The girl froze. They heard us. Reed looked up. Fog rolled through the rocks. Heavy, wet, moving fast. Another growl, closer this time. Monsters. He asked. She gritted her teeth. Not just monsters, howlers. They smell blood and fear, and I've got both. The cage door snapped open. Reed caught her as she collapsed forward. I can't walk, she gasped. Then I'll carry you. She whispered, You'll die. Reed didn't answer, lifted her into his arms. She weighed little too little, like she hadn't eaten in days. As he turned to leave, a shape appeared in the fog, tall, hairless, four-legged, fangs, the size of knives. Reed ran. The ground shook as the howler chased them. Its scream was sharp like metal tearing through bone. Reed's boot slid on loose rock as he reached a ridge and dove behind it, holding the girl close. They landed hard. She cried out in pain but stayed quiet. The beast stopped above them. Sniffing the air, Reed held his breath. The girl pressed her face against his neck. If I die, I'm glad I saw kindness before the end. He looked down at her. Her skin was cold. He pulled off his jacket and wrapped it around her. You're not dying today, he said. Not while I'm here. The howler screamed again, then walked away, slowly. Disappointed, silence returned. Reed waited 5 more minutes before standing. The girl shivered in his arms. Her eyes fluttered closed. What's your name? He asked softly. Luhari. She whispered. All right, Luhari, he said. Let's get off this nightmare rock. She smiled weakly. You're strange, human, he smiled back. You have no idea? And with that, he carried her toward the only safe place he could think of, the wrecked mining shelter half a mile away. Behind them, the fog rolled again, and something much bigger than the howler growled from deeper in the dark. The mining shelter was falling apart. But it still had 4 walls and a roof, and right now, that was enough. Reed kicked the bent door open and stepped inside with Luhari still in his arms. The walls were cracked, rusted, and covered in vines. But the air inside was dry, and the floor held steady. He laid her gently on a dusty bench and checked her leg. The bone wasn't broken, but it was badly bruised and swelling fast. She groaned. "Why did you bring me here?" "'Cause out there, you're prey," he said, punch up a portable medkit from his pack. She watched him quietly as he worked. His hands moved fast, wrapping her leg, sealing wounds with skin foam, giving her drops of water. For a moment, she just stared at his face. "You're not like the others," she whispered. He glanced at her. "What others?" "The ones who left me," she said. They didn't speak. They just looked at me, judged me, and said, "You'll slow us down." Reed frowned. "Your crew?" "No, my people." Her voice turned bitter. "I was born in a warrior caste. We fight or we're cast out. No questions. No second chances. I failed a test, and they left me behind, to die." Reed didn't speak for a moment, then he said, "You didn't fail. They did." She looked at him in surprise.
"What?"
"They left you behind for being weak," he said. "But weakness isn't what gets someone killed. Cruelty does, and they're full of it." Luhari lowered her eyes. "They used me as bait, Reed. They didn't just leave me, they planned it." Reed paused mid-bandage. "You're serious?" I heard them whispering. "Let the howlers catch her scent. While they feed, we'll escape." That's what they said. I wasn't even worth a fight. Reed shook his head. "They sound like monsters too?" She gave a sad smile. "Monsters don't lie. They just hunt." A strange silence settled between them. Not awkward, just heavy, full of the weight of what had been done to her. Then Reed's scanner beeped movement. He grabbed. Eden looked at the screen. A small red dot blinked. Not close, but not far either. "Trouble?" she asked. He nodded. "Someone's tracking you." Luhari's eyes widened. "Check my spine." "Right side, just under the skin." Reed carefully moved her long white hair and felt along her back. Just beneath her skin, something small. "Metal, a tracker," he said. "They marked you like prey." "I knew it," she muttered. "I knew they didn't just want me dead. They wanted to watch." Reed pulled a tool from his belt. "They can disable it, but it'll take a minute." "You'll help me again?" she asked. "I didn't carry you through a monster storm just to give up now." She swallowed hard. "You're strange, even for a human." He gave her a half smile. "I get that a lot." As he worked, she stared at him again, his calm eyes, his steady hands, the way he didn't flinch when she winced. "Reed, why are you helping me?" He didn't stop working, 'cause once someone could have helped me. They didn't. She blinked. "What happened?" "I was a soldier," he said. "Not a good one. Not special. One mission went wrong. I was injured left. Behind, they didn't even check if I was breathing." Luhari's voice was soft. "I'm sorry," he shrugged. "I lived, built a life in scrap zones, became a scout. I've been alone ever since." He paused until now. She didn't speak, but her hand reached out and gently touched his wrist. Tracker beeped again, then died. "Gone," Reed said. "They won't find you through that anymore." Luhari let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Thank you." Suddenly, the ground rumbled. Both looked up from outside. A scream echoed, sharp, long, inhuman. Luhari froze. "The storm's coming." Reed stood, and the monsters. "They'll come with it," she said. "Varnak storms trigger there. Hunting cycles. They go mad in the rain. Won't survive out here if we stay unprotected." Reed scanned the shelter. Wasn't strong enough. Then his scanner blinked again. A cave system nearby, hidden, deep, dry. "I know a place," he said, "but we'll have to leave now." Luhari looked at her injured leg. "I can't walk fast." "Then you'll lean on me," he said. "We'll move together." She stared at him. "Why are you really doing this?" Reed looked her straight in the eyes. "Because someone saw you as bait. But I see you as something else entirely." "What?" she whispered. He turned and opened the shelter door. Someone worth saving. The cave entrance was hidden behind a wall of dried thorns. Reed pushed through carefully, holding Luhari close to his side. She limped beside him, her arm looped around his shoulder, her other leg still too weak to carry her weight. They stepped. Inside, cool air wrapped around them, still and dry. The ground was firm. Stone walls curved inward, covered in glowing moss. Strange markings lined the walls, maybe old mining symbols. Maybe something older. But to them, it was safety. At least for now. Reed helped her sit against the cave wall. She winced, then relaxed. Better than a cage, he nodded. No monsters. In here yet, she smirked. Yet, he unpacked a thermal blanket, draped it around her, then pulled out a packet of water and handed it to her. She sipped it slowly. You act like a soldier. I was, he said, years ago. Before the peace treaty fell apart. Why'd you leave? They stopped caring about the people, started fighting for power. I didn't follow orders well, she looked at him thoughtfully. You follow your own? Only one, he said. Don't leave anyone behind. Luhari leaned her head back against the rock. My people had orders too, cold ones. We're trained to cut emotion, to see kindness as weakness. Reed looked at her. Then, you were the strongest one. She laughed quietly, like it was the first real laugh in years. You're strange, I know, he said. I'm human. She turned toward him. But you're not like the ones in our records. They called humans wild, angry, selfish. Some are, Red admitted. Some of yours probably are too. Ch nodded. But not you. He didn't reply. Instead, he checked the scanner. Red dots flickered across the screen. Movement still far, but getting closer. They're spreading out, he said. The howlers. Her eyes narrowed. They don't give up after dark. If they've scented us, they'll keep circling until they find the trail. We'll move again at first light. She pulled the blanket tighter. If we don't survive. Reed looked at her, serious. Then we make it cost them. The silence stretched again, but it was warmer now. Luhari studied his face in the cave light. Why didn't they come back for you? He didn't flinch, my unit said. I was too damaged to recover. One bad mission, one mistake. Left behind like old gear. And you survived, she whispered. Barely, he said, but I did. She hesitated. Then said softly, when I was caged, I stopped calling for help after the second day, I thought. No one would come. He looked at her. Why'd you scream when I found you? She gave a slow smile. 'Cause even when I stopped believing, my heart still hoped. They stared at each other for a moment too long. Then the scanner beeped. Reed stood. Movement. Closer. We need to mask our scent. He stepped outside the cave entrance and rubbed sulfur moss on the rocks, bitter and smoky.
Right.
It would hide there. Heat signatures, too. Trick he learned from the war. When he came back inside, Luhari was staring at her hand. It was glowing. Not brightly, but softly. From her palm to her wrist, a faint trail of silver light red rays. Is that normal? She said, voice shaking. It's never happened before. What is it? She looked at him. I don't know. He stepped closer. Let me see. She held it out. The glow reacted to his presence, growing stronger. She gasped. Reed reached out slowly and touched her hand. The light spread, dancing along. Her skin like flowing water, then something clicked inside his head. A flicker of her memory. Her cage. Her pain, her fear. He stepped back, stunned. I saw something, he said. From your mind, her eyes widened. It's starting. What is, she whispered, the bond? The one they said I'd never form. The one I wasn't worthy of. Reed was speechless. She looked into his eyes. They told me I was defective. That my soul couldn't connect. But I felt you. Just now. Reed knelt beside her. What does that mean? It means I wasn't broken, she said. I was just waiting for the right one. For the first time, Reed saw something stronger. Then fear in her eyes, hope. But before he could say anything back, a howl ripped through the canyon outside. Louder, closer. The monsters were here, and this time, they weren't hunting alone. The first howl made the cave tremble. It was deep, sharp, and carried through the stone like a scream from the earth itself. Luhari's hands clutched the edge of the blanket. Reed stood near the entrance, pulse pistol drawn, his eyes fixed on the scanner. Red dots flickered across the screen closer than before. "They've found us," he said quietly. Luhari looked up, her skin still faintly glowing from the earlier bond pulse. "I can feel them. Their hate. Their hunger. It's like fire. Inside my chest." "They hunt with instinct," Reed said. "They don't think. They sense weakness, fear, heat. And we're all three," she whispered. Reed walked to her, knelt down, and handed her a short blade from his kit. "Not anymore," she took it, surprised. "You trust me with a weapon?" "You survived this long," he said. "I trust that more than orders." Outside, thunder cracked, but there was no lightning. The sky of Varnic 9 never flashed. It just growled. Reed checked his traps near the entrance tripwire charges, shock mines, a noise displacer. Primitive stuff, but effective. Luhari limped to his side. "You're not running?" He glanced at her. "Not without you. You barely know me." He looked her in the eyes. "Know what it means to be left behind." She didn't reply. But for the first time since they met, she stood taller. Then came the second. How? This one was closer, followed by a third and a fourth. "They're circling." Reed said. "I counted 6, Luhari added, her voice steady. "Now, maybe more. Stay behind me when they charge." "No," she said. "I'll fight beside you." He looked at her for a second, then nodded. The cave entrance went silent. No more howls, just breathing heavy. Wet wrong. Red held his breath. Then the first one appeared. It was bigger than the last 8 feet tall. With glowing white eyes and skin that pulsed like muscle under metal, its fangs were wet with green fluid. Its claws scraped the stone as it sniffed the air. It stepped forward. Red fired. The bolt hit its chest. Sparking, but it didn't stop. It roared and lunged. Red pulled Luhari behind a rock as the creature crashed through the trap. An explosion knocked it sideways, and fire lit the cave entrance. But another one came through. Then 2 more. Red fired again, hitting one in the head. It dropped, screeching, but didn't die. The others were faster, stronger. Luhari stepped forward with the blade, but froze. Her hand shook. The creature growled, ready to pounce. Reed turned, but he was too far to stop it. "Luhari, move."
Act.
She didn't run. She screamed, not in fear, in rage. The glow on her skin flared bright. Her eyes went silver. She leaped to the side, dodging the claw swipe, then drove the blade into the creature's neck. It howled, blood spraying the cave wall. Reed stared. She didn't stop. She twisted the blade and kicked it back as it fell, screeching. Another came at her, but this time she was ready. She ducked under the swing, rolled, and came up next to Reed. "Told you," she said between breaths. "I'm not bait." Reed smiled. Not even close. Together, they fought. Reed's shots weakened them. Luhari's strikes finished the job. They worked like they had done this before, even though they hadn't. Their bond helped them move together, reading the other's movement like a dance. They had trained for all their lives. Then, as the last creature lunged, Luhari grabbed Reed's pulse pistol and fired 3 shots. Straight into its open mouth it fell.
Oh.
Silent. And the cave went still again. Only the sound of their breathing remained. Reed dropped to one knee. That was a lot. From her arm, "You're not bad for a lone human." He looked up at her. "And you?" "You're a fighter." She looked at her hands. "I didn't know I could be. Now you do." She helped him stand. "Thank you for what?" "For standing by me," she said. "For not seeing me as broken." He touched her shoulder. "You were never broken. You just needed someone to believe it." She stepped closer, eyes soft. "And now?" He said, "We survived together." As they turned back into the cave, her glowing skin lit the way, and behind them, the monsters stayed dead, for once. Reed was bleeding. The wound on his side pulsed with heat. It wasn't deep, but it had torn through the edge of his armor and left a long red gash. He leaned against the cave wall, breathing hard. Luhari knelt beside him quickly. "You didn't? Tell me you were hit." He winced, but tried to joke, was waiting for the right time. "This is not the time for humor," she said, pulling out his medkit. Reed gave a weak smile. Then it must be serious. Luhari opened the sealant tube and pressed it against the wound. The hiss of foam filled the air. Reed groaned and gritted his teeth. She worked in silence, careful and focused. He watched her hands. There was no shake this time. No fear, only calm. "You've done this before," he whispered. "No," she replied, wrapping the bandage. "I watched you do it enough times." Reed laid back, his face pale but steady. "You're a fast learner." Luhari paused. "I had to be. On my world, weakness isn't forgiven." "You're not weak," he said. "You just believed them when they said you were." She looked at him. "And you believed I wasn't." "No." "That's all it took." She sat beside him, watching the smoke rise from the cave entrance where the creatures had fallen. "No one ever believed in me before. Not my teachers, not my sisters, not even myself." "You don't need them anymore," Reed said. "You already proved them wrong." Luhari stared at the ground for a moment, then said, "I was told my kind could only bond with those of our blood. But last night, when I fought beside you, I felt something else." He turned his head toward her. "The connection." He nodded. "It wasn't fear. It was strength. It's like I wasn't fighting alone." Reed looked at her glowing wrist. The light came back. She raised her arm and saw it 2 soft silver lines running up her skin, brightening every time she looked at him. "I think it's because of the bond," she said. Reed sat up slowly. "Then maybe they were wrong about more than just you." Suddenly, her head snapped toward the back of the cave. Reed reached for his weapon, but Luhari raised a hand. "No, it's not danger. Something else." She stood and walked toward a hidden crevice in the wall. Her fingers brushed over stone until she found a weak point. A panel clicked open, revealing a small scanner built into the rock. She blinked. This was part of the old underground system. "Mining colony tech long before the war. What's it say?" Red asked, standing beside her. "It still works," she said, voice filled with wonder. "It shows a route under the mountains. Leads to a plateau, flat, dry, above the storm layer." "Away off this cursed ground?" Reed asked. "No," she said. "A place to live." Reed looked at her. "You're thinking of staying?" She turned to him. "Can't go back. Not to my people, not to your command." He said nothing, but his silence said enough. She continued, "But what if this is more than just a hiding place? What if this is the beginning of something?" He raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" She stepped closer. "Like a place where no one's thrown away, no one's left behind. No more cages, no more monsters." Reed smiled. "You mean a home?" She nodded. "Yes." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we build it. You and me." A long moment passed. Neither looked away. Finally, she whispered, "If I had met you earlier, my life would have been different." He leaned forward. "Maybe your life started when you met me." She smiled on for the first time. It wasn't a small, unsure smile. It was full, strong, true. But before they could speak again, a sharp pulse buzzed from Reed's com. A signal. He pulled the screen out. A tracking ping. But it wasn't hostile. Luhari leaned in. "That's not from my people, no." Reed said slowly. "It's human, but not military." The screen blinked. One word. "Help." Luhari looked at him. "Another survivor, maybe," he said. "Or someone like you. Someone left behind." She looked toward the cave mouth. "And we can't stay here." "No," he said, grabbing his gear. "But we can come back. Once we've found them." She picked up her blade. "Then let's find them together." They left the cave side by side, walking into the rising light. And behind them, the glow on her arm didn't fade. It only grew stronger. They arrived at the ridge by sunrise. Below them, the canyon split wide, carved by centuries of wind and storms. The air was dry, clean. The world felt calm again, but it was only pretending. Reed adjusted the scanner's frequency, his eyes narrowing. The distress signal came from this direction. Just beyond the valley, Luhari stood beside him, silent, staring into the distance. Reed glanced at her. "You okay?" She didn't answer right away. Then I know this place. The scanner? What do you mean? She pointed to the far cliffs. That ridge, it's where my people exiled me. Reed's jaw tightened. So the ones who left you to die are still close? I always come back to strip what's left. They believe I'm dead. She looked at him, but I'm not. Just then, a drone passed overhead, silent, black tri-winged. Its lens glowed red as it scanned the ridge. Reed cursed under his breath. They're sweeping the area. Luhari took a step back into the rocks. They'll spot us. But Reed didn't move. He stared straight into the sky. The drone paused, hovered, then zipped away. He lowered his weapon. They didn't register me. I scrambled my biosign. You've done this before, she said. He nodded. Long ago. I was left behind too once. She looked at him, more serious now. You never told me. Didn't think it mattered, he said, scanning the area again. Until I met someone who knew what that felt like. Her voice softened. You mean me? Red looked at her. You fought beside me. You saved me. It matters more than anything. She stepped forward. But a noise below cut their words short. Engines. 3 hovercrafts, sliding across the rocks like black blades. They moved in a line toward a metal structure buried near the cliff edge. Luhari recognized them instantly. My family's command vessels, she whispered. And that sigil, it's a red mark on the side. It means trial by honor. Reed turned to her. They're here to judge you? She nodded slowly. In our code, if someone cast out returns alive, they must submit or be erased. Sounds less like honor and more like fear. Luhari didn't argue. They don't forgive failure or survival. Reed looked down at the figures stepping from the craft stall, armored aliens with long rifles, their faces hidden behind. Glass masks in the center, one wore white. Her sister? Is that who gave the order? Reed asked. Luhari nodded once. She led the tribunal that sentenced me. Reed raised his rifle. Let me talk to her. No, Luhari said quickly. This is mine. You sure? I'm not who they think I am anymore. Reed gave her one final look, then slowly stepped back into cover. Luhari walked forward. Bold, tall. Alone the wind caught her silver robe as she descended the ridge. Every step echoed with the crunch of ancient stone. Below, the group turned to see her and froze. Her sister stepped forward. You're alive. Luhari didn't blink. I never stopped being. You disobeyed. You fled the final trial, no? Luhari said. I was cast out. Her sister's voice hardened. And now you return to shame us all? I returned because you were wrong, Luhari said, her voice louder now. You called me weak. You left me as prey. But I survived. I fought. And I found someone who believed in me when my own blood did not. The guards raised their weapons, but her sister lifted a hand. You bonded outside your kind? I did, Luhari said. You broke. Our law? I broke my chains. Behind her, Reed stepped into the open weapon, lowered, but his presence sharp. You want her? You'll go through me. The guards aimed, but her sister hesitated. Then he is the human, Luhari answered. He is the reason I live. Her sister stepped closer. You've changed. Your glow. It's stronger. Because. I was never broken, Luhari said. Only silenced. A long silence fell. Then her sister lowered her weapon. Leave, she said. Do not return. Reed stepped closer. That's it? Her sister didn't look at him. She has chosen her path. We will not follow. Then she turned and walked away. One by one. The others followed. No gunfire, no trial, only cold silence and fading engines. Luhari stood frozen. Reed walked up beside her. You okay? She didn't speak for a moment. Then I thought they would. Kill me, they would have, Red said. But you weren't alone this time. She turned to him. No, I wasn't. They looked out over the ridge together, and for the first time in both their lives, they were free. The wind was soft now. For the first time since Luhari had opened her eyes on this cursed planet, there was peace in the air. No more screeches, No more monsters, no more footsteps of those who hunted her, just silence, and the man who stayed, Red, stood near the edge of the canyon, holding a small solar panel against the rising sun. Powers back. Water purifiers next. Luhari sat nearby, her glowing skin dappled by morning light. You work like you're still waiting for the war. He smiled. Habit. She picked up a piece of metal plating, turning it in her fingers. You really think we can build a place here? We already did, he said, planting the solar rig into the earth. We just need walls now. Luhari looked at the cave behind them, now cleaned, reinforced, and mapped into sections. Shelves, lights, a sleeping area. A signal antenna stood tall like a flag of survival. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. Reed walked over, wiping sweat from his brow. You still thinking of leaving? She shook her head. No, I was thinking of calling others. Reed's brows rose. Others. She held up a small beacon rescued from the mining ruin. She tapped a code in its memory. The cast-offs. The forgotten. I know where they go when they're thrown away. I was one of them. You want them to come here? Want them to know they're not alone? Reed looked around at the quiet land. You think this place can hold them? No, she said softly, but I believe you can. I didn't answer right away. Then we'll build it bigger. She smiled, then stepped forward and reached for his hand. I have one more request, she said, voice low. He tilted his head. What is it? I want to bond with you, she said. It's not just to survive, not just to live, but because. I don't want to face another sunrise without you. Reed looked into her glowing eyes. Are you sure? She nodded. I was left behind, Reed, but you made me feel chosen. He took a step closer and placed his palm against hers. Her skin shimmered bright, radiant. The glowing patterns on her arms pulsed like light moving through rivers. Reed felt warmth travel up his arm and into his chest. It wasn't pain, it was connection, understanding, strength, and love. She looked at him, eyes wide with wonder. This was what the elders feared, not death, not humans. This, real bond, he said, one not made by rules. The glow wrapped around them, soft and silent. A wind moved through the canyon, but this time Mitt didn't carry fear, only beginnings. Luhari turned her gaze to the hills. When they come those who were forgotten, what do we tell them? Reed squeezed her hand. We tell them they're home. A soft tone rang from the antenna, a signal blinking on the small console Reed had rigged. He stepped over, multiple pings. From the south, the west, even far north beyond the black fields. Luhari watched the screen. Reed smiled. Looks like your message worked. She whispered. They're coming, he turned to her. Then let's be ready. Later that night they built the fire high. The beacon burned with light from the antenna, and food was ready in a small solar pot. Luhari watched the stars above, her head resting on Reed's shoulder. She whispered, You found me when no one else did. He looked up. You screamed. I couldn't ignore it. And now? She asked. He looked at her, held her hand, and answered, Now you're not the one screaming. You're the one people are coming for. She smiled. They both stared at the dark hills where shadows began to appear. Distant figures, careful, slow, but walking toward the fire, not enemies, not monsters, survivors, and they were coming home.